Matter of buzzword. I was in a meeting just the other day and listened to people talk about the fact that it's just amazing to hear an educator talk sometimes. And they're saying things. I was saying this in my session earlier today. And yeah, look, I know those are words. I understand every word they're saying. But I don't even know if they don't even know what they're talking about. They're talking about, this, maker movement, flipped classroom, making things relevant and rigorous. And they're just throwing out words, and it seems like, do you even know the direction of that you're going? Do you even know the kids that are going through my classroom? We can talk about all these different types of initiatives. We can talk about going one-to-one. We can talk about making learning relevant for 21st century learners. We can talk about all of these things. But we can't lose sight of the kid that we are educating. We can't lose sight of the person who's being entrusted into our classrooms. We can't lose sight of the fact that beyond all those buzzwords, beyond all those initiatives, that this is a human being that we are educating, that we are having the opportunity to shape them into who they're going to be. We got to make sure that we are keeping the right things, the right center of focus. I remember when I was in college, I was trying to get into major education. Yeah, listen, I've wanted to be an educator since I was in third grade. This is Mrs. Castellucci. There's no other Mrs. Castellucci's class. There's no other profession I wanted to be in. And I remember being in her class and deciding I wanted to do what she did. And I wanted to be an educator. I remember being in college and sitting in Dr. Holmberg's office, and I was going through my interview to enter into the student teaching program. And he asked me, Brett, why do you want to be an educator? Why should I allow you to take on this great task? And I started talking about how I thought that was my calling. I started talking about how I always wanted to be a teacher. And I started naming teachers who were important in my life. He said, nope, wrong answer. So I talked a little more about how, I have an older brother who's a teacher, and he's been an inspiration to me. And he said, nope, wrong answer. I kept talking and explaining all these things. And he said, Brett, you're going to be the first person this semester that I kick out of the student teaching program before it ever even begins, and you don't get this answer right. So finally I looked at him, and he said, put his hands out. So tell me, why do you want to be a teacher? And finally I said the thing I think that we're afraid to say sometimes. And I said, that's because I love kids. He goes, that's the answer that I want. That's what I'm looking for. If you don't love kids, if you don't love students, then I'm not going to allow you to go into the student teaching program. And I've never lost that passion. I've never forgotten that meeting with Dr. Hornbrook. That above everything else, this is about loving students. I love every kid that walks through my door. And I'm sure you do the same. And one of the hardest things for me as a district administrator is the fact that I don't get to have that direct contact with students. I don't get to have that direct impact. I work in a district now where I never taught it. The kids know me as a Chromebook guy now because we're one-to-one because of me. So, we have all these movements in education today. One of them is the Future Ready movement. And I have friends that lead the Future Ready movement. I think it's a powerful thing. We got to make sure that our schools are future ready. But we can't forget that we have so many kids that are just trying to survive the present. You have students that are just trying to survive through that next day, through that next class period. And we cannot lose sight of the fact that our kids need us to be mindful of their present just as much as we are mindful of their future. So why else am I so passionate about this? It's because of this right here. This is my family. And I'm going to get into my point of what I really want to drive home today. This is my amazing wife, Ruth. As if I have to point out which one's the lady in the picture or something. I've been with my wife, Ruth. We've been married for 15 years now. My wonderful 3 kids. That took about, 100 or so tries to even get that close to a normal picture of them. Mike and Nathan and Levi, 12, 10, and 6. Amazing boys. I have an amazing family. And I love my kids, love my wife, and they're so important to me. And I will tell you right now that this year has been the most difficult year of my life. Back in October of last year, my wife, who had Crohn's disease, got real sick towards the end of October. By the end of November, she was almost completely bedridden. By December, I was taking her to the hospital for a 14-day stay. She was losing weight rapidly. Nothing the doctor were doing could make things right. She started to get a little bit better. We thought we were out of the woods. And then at the end of January, I almost lost my wife. We took her to the hospital last Sunday of January. By that Thursday, they were taking her to emergency surgery. They removed almost all of her colon. She was essentially in a coma for a week. It was the most difficult thing I ever gone through. I can't even begin to describe to you today what it was like to be across a hospital bed from a doctor that told me that this is a life-threatening situation. I can't put into words what it was like on that Thursday when they wheeled her out of the room to take her to surgery, not knowing for sure that was the last time I was ever going to tell my wife that I loved her. Trying to figure out in my mind how I was going to explain to my 3 kids that their mom had passed away. Spoiler alert, she lives. This is all fine, by the way. We're good now. I want to get that out of the way just to make sure everybody knows that we're all good. But I didn't know at the time. They pulled her out of surgery. They took her off all of her pain medicine, all the anesthesia, and for the next 7 days, nothing. Wouldn't wake up, wouldn't respond, wouldn't do anything. She had a seizure halfway through that week, and we thought we were going to lose her again. The doctor just did not know if she ever was going to wake up from that surgery. I remember they had to give her dialysis to dilute some poison that was in her blood from all the septic and all the poison she had pumping through her body. And the day they gave her dialysis was the first time she began to wake up, and she squeezed my hand for the first time and opened her eyes that day. I'll never forget those moments. She spent 12 weeks total between the hospital and rehab. She had to relearn how to walk. She had to relearn how to stand even. Everything was all new to her again. It was about a month of her life that she just doesn't remember a thing. And I can tell you that there were some times, here are just a few pictures here, and don't worry, when I post this online, this slide is going to be gone. My wife will probably kill me if she knew I put this picture up here. But this is her and our boys with her in the hospital. Our 3 kids coming to see her. I couldn't have gotten through that by myself. And this is what I mean when I say be the light. I could not have got through this dark moment in my life without the people in my life. See my kids in front of the Christmas tree? I didn't buy one present for my kids this year. People in my church came to me and they said, "Do you have a Christmas list for your boys?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Hand it over." They went, they did all of our shopping. They came to my house, they put the tree up, they decorated it, they wrapped all the presents. My kids came home from staying with a family from our church to a house fully decorated for Christmas. My 6-year-old goes, "Did Dad do all of this?" It's like, no. It was funny, one of the presents said, "To Levi from Jesus." He said, "Jesus got me this." I thought, man, I hope he likes this. And so I asked the person, I said, "April, what's in the box that says from Jesus?" She said, "Oh, I think I put the pajamas in." No. You put the pajamas in that? My family didn't go without food. We had people, every person in my department chipped in and got us gift cards, and they brought food to our house. And through this entire time, my family was taken care of. And so that's my kids in front of the Christmas tree. The picture there behind is us on one night when people came and stayed in the hospital with my wife, so I take my kids bowling, and we went to Logan's Steakhouse for dinner that night with a gift card for my coworkers. And to this day, Logan's Steakhouse is one of my youngest son's favorite restaurants to go to. And I'm convinced because in that dark moment, that was a time when we got to go away and have some fun. We'll never forget Logan's Steakhouse. Just a night out with my kids. The picture of all of us on the couch was my wife's first night home after 12 weeks. And as we got closer and closer to my wife coming home, people kept saying to me, man, it must be nice to be able to see light at the end of the tunnel. And my response to it has always been the same. There wasn't light at the end of the tunnel. My tunnel was well lit the entire time because I had a community of people that cared for me and cared for my family, that saw us through the darkest moments of our life. And so this is my message for us today. Now, I think we as educators have got to be the light, not just for our students, but for each other. How can we be the light? Well, the first is to illuminate the path. One of the biggest jobs I think that we have as educators is to light the path for the students that we have in our classrooms. When I was going through that process of applying to be a teacher and going into, I really wanted to teach high school. That's all I ever thought. I'm going to teach high school math. I'm going to go, I'm going to be, this crazy high school math teacher like Mr. Escalante, stand and deliver. That's what I wanted to be. I sit in the room with Dr. Holmberg and Dr. Hill, and Dr. Holmberg made me tell him that I love kids, and then he let me in the program, and Dr. Hill looked at me and goes, all right, now, you're getting a middle school endorsement, right? I said, no, not a chance. I said, I'm a high school math teacher. That's what I'm going to be. She said, oh, no, Brett, you were not a high school math teacher. I said, what do you mean I'm not a high school math teacher? That's all I ever wanted to do. She said, no, you are too immature. You are a middle school math teacher. And I said, no, I don't want a middle school endorsement. She said, I'm not letting you in this program unless you take on your middle school endorsement. So I said, okay, I want to graduate. We're going to borrow $40,000. So I want to make sure this degree goes to some use. So she made me take and do half my student teaching in middle school and half in a high school. And I owe that lady my life, because that was where I took off. But she saw that where I couldn't see it, because she had experiences that I had never had yet. And this is our job as educators. It's not about just making somebody a better mathematician. It's not about making somebody a better historian. It's about lighting their path. It's about connecting them to their passion so they can pursue it with reckless abandonment. This is our job as educators, is to illuminate the path for our students. And not just for our students, but for each other. I'm so glad I had other educators who encouraged me to pursue a job in professional development. That encouraged me to pursue a job in administration. I was content to be a classroom teacher. I didn't really realize the kind of passion I had with leading other educators. But somebody recognized that in me, and they lit the path for me. And they brought me into an office, and they showed me, hey, here's what you need to do in order to get to where you want to be. And I didn't know that's really where I wanted to be, but they saw that inside me. And so we need to illuminate the path so that we can walk in the right direction and become the people that we were intended to be. The next way we can be the light is we need to lighten the load. Wordplay, by the way. We need to lighten the load. You see, I'm going to drive back to Indiana here in a little bit. Some of you are probably hoping it's sooner rather than later. But I'm going to come here in Indiana here in a little bit. And I'll have to cross that big bridge across the mighty Mississippi. And there's no one piece of that bridge that can handle the weight of my car traveling to get me across the Ohio, or across the Mississippi. Sorry, I used to live in Indiana and crossing over to Louisville. So there's not one piece of that bridge that can handle the entire weight of my car. There's not one piece of that bridge that is long enough to get me across the entire Mississippi. But when every piece of that bridge works together, it can bear the weight of not just my vehicle, but every vehicle that crosses the Mississippi. And it can help me get from one side, from over here in Missouri, over to Illinois, or wherever that bridge jumps off into. I'm not a geographical guy, so whatever. But you get my point. That too many times in education, we spend so much time dumping on each other and not enough time lifting each other up. It is amazing to me sometimes the way that some educators treat each other. You let an educator get a little bit of success. You let an educator become the popular teacher. And just watch those other educators circle them like sharks sometimes. Blows my mind the way that we treat each other sometimes. We all chose to go into this profession. And instead of dumping on each other, why don't we lift each other up? Why don't we lighten the load? There's enough things that we have to bear ourselves. Let's be there for each other. Let's make a commitment that if we are in the same building, we're on the same team. If we're in the same district, then we're on the same team. If we're in the same profession, then we're on the same team. It doesn't matter to me if you teach them here in Missouri, Illinois, Indiana. It doesn't matter to me even in my own district. It drives me bonkers. People, they're afraid to share things because we're in competition with each other. That we might lose a kid to the neighboring school district, and their whatever $5,000, $6,000 might go with them. Look, I understand business. I understand the money side of it. But this is greater than that. We have got to be willing to support each other so that we can be the strong structure that our kids need us to be and deserve for us to be. So they can get from where they're at to where they need to be and where they're headed. So we can need to lighten the load. We need to be there to help each other out in the same way that my colleagues helped me out. They picked my kids up from school. They fed my kids. Some of them housed my kids. They came and sat with my wife so I can go home and get some sleep and just wash the hospital smell off of my clothes. They did all those things. And I could bear everything that I went through because somebody was there to help lighten the load for me. And the last thing that I'll say is that the last way we can be alive is that we need to light a fire. Light a fire in our students. Light a fire in each other. Ignite that passion. Every student that we have has the ability to be something magnificent, has the ability to be something beautiful. And it's up to us to help light that match. The problem is, when I talk about light a fire, and you think about, you tell kids, hey, we're going to light a fire, they see more like this. That magnifying glass that's causing that light to go down and to burn on them and to set them on fire. I'm not trying to set any of our kids on fire. I'm trying to ignite a fire inside of them. You see, this type of fire is started by somebody focusing too much light and attention on the outside of a person and not doing anything to light the fire inside of a person. See, I'm not trying to light a fire under anybody today. But I'm trying to ignite a fire inside of your heart today. Because, and you guys all have this passion. I know you do, that's why you're here. If I didn't know I was dealing with educators today that were full of the same passion that I am, you wouldn't be here today. You'd be off somewhere else. Hopefully in air conditioning, because this air conditioning, I'm still sweating like crazy. This is what I do, I guess. But I'm talking about lighting a fire inside of our students. What is it that they're passionate about? Where is their passion lie? I was so moved by what some of our students said up here today about the things that they have passion for. Things that they're compassionate about. And what are we doing in our schools this year to light a fire inside of them, to help them become what they desire and want to be? So I want us to think of these three things, way that we can be the light for our students and be the light for each other. It's by illuminating the path. It's by lightening the load. It's by lighting a fire inside of each other. And the last thing I'm going to leave you with is, two more things. It's just like a preacher, right? I'm closing, and 5 minutes later they still say they're closing. Apologize for that. So this is who I affectionately call my fake high school daughter. Fantastic kid. She came to me in 7th grade and in one of my math remediation class, and I'm not afraid to tell you that. She would tell you the same thing. She was a struggling math student. And when you came to my math class, it wasn't about making you a better mathematician, but about making you a better learner. But Alexis and I, we had a connection. And she's just a great kid. And had a great personality. And just needed somebody to tell her that she could be anything she wanted to be. And over the years, we became friends with her. My wife and I became friends with her mother, their family. And this was her and her high school graduation. You can read all that if you'd like to. It's up there. It's what she put on her Facebook wall this year after her graduation. And one thing she talks about in there is that the year that I gave her a birthday card and told her happy birthday, love, Dad. It was the first time that she'd ever had a birthday card from her father figure. Because her dad had left their family long before she was old enough to remember him. She had a stepdad for a while who was abusive to both her and to her mother. She tragically lost her best friend her junior year, and I remember trying to be there for the best that I could. She has struggles. She's a real person. She's more than just a math student. She has hopes and dreams, and she has fears, and she has things that she's wasn't sure how things were going to work out in her life. And I'm so blessed and honored to have been that teacher who got to be there for her. And when we were going through our struggles, she was texting me, asking me how Ruth was doing, asking me how the boys were doing, checking on us. She was there for me during that time. I was there for her through her high school career. And it was amazing just to be a part and see her graduate. That's memory there's one of my favorite memories. Watching her graduate, having a chance to study with her, and wouldn't you know it, here in just a couple of weeks, she's going to start her classes and start studying elementary education herself so she can follow her father's footsteps and be a teacher like me. So this is what I live for. This is what I'm passionate about. See, I told you I'm Pentecostal. I'm just ready to go. This is what I'm passionate about seeing kids like this and seeing knowing they come to my classroom thinking that they're not worth anything, thinking that they are just going to be resigned just to go through life and not really make a difference. But then to somehow connect with them, ignite a fire in them, and watch them burn bright to be an amazing individual. And then I'm sure I can pass this microphone to every one of you in this room. And you can tell me your story about your Alexis that you had in your classroom. Or I can tell you about kids like Tyler, Alan, Daniel. I remember the day that Daniel sent me a text message and said, hey, can your phone get audio messages? I think I just got my first smartphone. This is several years back. He sent me an audio of his child's heartbeat as him and his girlfriend at the time were fixing that he was in college and they were fixing to have their first kid together. I taught him 7th grade math. I'm a 7th grade math teacher. He's a 21-year-old college kid. And he saw fit to send me an audio of his child's heartbeat. Because we're much more to our kids than just some content delivery system. I'm much more than just a test prep machine, standing in front of a group of students trying to get them ready for some ludicrous state test. I'm the person that helps our kids find their passion, to find their purpose. So, I promise this really is the last thing. In our district, this semester, we got groups of kids together, and we asked them to tell us, what do you want your teachers to know? And what do you want for your teachers? They wrote some things down, and we have a digital storyteller in our district. It was one of the best decisions I ever made was to hire a digital storyteller, and he's fantastic. Does a great job of telling our story for our school districts in digital formats. And he sent out a video of these kids, and you'll see some adults as they read some of these things as well, because there's some things we don't want the kids to be in front of the camera they read. You understand. But this is just a short video about what do kids want their teachers to know, and what do kids want for their teachers.
understand that I want a good education and go to college. I want my teacher to understand that we're only kids and we're not mature students. I want my teacher to understand that we talk a lot just because we're kids and we don't live in a PS, so we talk a lot. I want my teacher to understand how much I'm trying to do. I want my teacher to know that we're all capable of doing new things. I want my teacher to know that we are all different and that's okay. I want my teacher to understand that I can do everything everybody else can do. I want my teacher to understand that I am smart.
I don't like it when my teacher gives other students special treatment.
I want my teacher to understand that it's not fair when she only calls me smart students. I want my teachers to know I'm trying my best. I want my teacher to know I am a smart student and I want more challenges.
I want my teacher to let me stay in second grade.
I want my teacher to be able to have a vacation. I want my teacher to be able to hop on one foot and eat ice cream at the same time. I want my teacher to be able to trust us. I want my teacher to know when I learn things when I'm making things. I want my teacher to understand that yelling does not help our education. I want my teacher to turn learning into a game so that the kids can pay attention to what you're teaching them. That's how I know what I know. I want my teacher to understand that Minecraft is very educational for math.
I want my teacher to understand that we shouldn't have to sit down all day just to get up and watch a recess.
I want my teacher to be able to have a day off because she really needs it. I want my teacher to understand that the grading system is mean. I want my teacher to be able to remember what it was like when he was in school. I want my teacher to know that it is very rough at daycare.
I want my teacher to know that I was being bullied at the beginning of the school year and I kept it a secret.
I want my teacher to know what's going on in people's lives.
I want my teacher to fix what's happening in my house every day. I want my teacher to understand what happens in other people's houses sometimes.
I want my teacher to understand that when I stay at my dad's house, I don't sleep well because he yells a lot.
I want my teacher to know I do not like to read. I do not like school. I'm scared my sister won't be at home.
I want my teacher to understand that there's not always somebody at home to help me.
I want my teacher to know that I need more time writing because it's really hard for me.
I want my teacher to give me more hugs.
I want my teacher to understand that this school makes me feel better.
I want my teacher to know my school is good and fun. We have good teachers that help us learn.
I want my teacher to be able to stop worrying about our happiness and start worrying about hers.
I want my teachers to be able to congratulate me and other students.
I want my teacher to give us more time at recess. I want my teacher to understand that there is not enough math in school.
I hope my teacher will be able to remember us for a few years.
I want my teacher to know that I'm proud of myself. I want teachers to always know that whatever they're teaching anybody, they should always be happy.
I want my teacher to know I love you.
I don't know about you, but that touches my heart, touches my soul. We have a great opportunity this coming school year. I don't know when your school year starts. Our kids come back July 30th. And for I, for one, can't wait. Because I love kids. And I want to do everything I can to illuminate their path, to lighten their load, to light a fire inside of them so they can go on and change the world. So my challenge to you is real simple. Get the next slide. Click on. Is that we need you to be the light in somebody's tunnel.